Good evening, Mel.
Good evening.
Mel, 2 defeats and 4 goals conceded at home just recently. Have we paid for the errors on 3 of those goals?
Yeah, it's a shame really. Ramsgate are a good side, and I think to beat Ramsgate we have to be at our best. And for a large part of the game we were. First half was very even, nothing much in it, and a really poor goal from our, the defenders just pushed the ball forward, no real thought or process in it, and then one of my lads has just completely misjudged it and let the lad through with only aiming to beat, and so it was really disappointing going in at half time. We should have been going in 0-0. To go in 1-0 was really disappointing. And second half again, the second goal was again us giving the ball away in a poor area and paying the consequences. Good teams punish you, and Ramsgate were a good team.
They were a very different side to the team that we drew 1-1 with down on the south coast earlier in the season.
Yeah, well, it was Lee's first game. He's got them playing very well. I said when I watched them in the prep, and I said to the players, other than Folkestone, they're the best team I've seen in terms of the way they press, the way they work, the way they stay connected. They're a very good side, and it was disappointing to give them 2 goals. You don't need to give good teams like 2 goals. The third goal was a great, well-worked goal from them. You take your hat off, what great football it was, and they opened us up and got the goal. But the first 2, we let them in, and that's really disappointing. We also created 2 or 3 good chances which we didn't take ourselves. So all in all, I was really disappointed. I said to the lads afterwards that, when you play against these good sides, if you don't take your chances and then you give them chances, you're not going to win games, and we didn't. And then on to Dartford on the Tuesday night.
Yeah. You approached that match in a similar way to Averley, and for the best part of an hour it was all going according to plan.
Well, in all fairness, I think the 3 teams we played recently, Cray, Averley and Ramsgate, are all very similar. They play a very similar way of football. They leave 2 or 3 up, they play forward quickly, they try and catch you out all the time. They don't take any risks at the back, no risks at all. And so it was a very similar game to Averley. And again, it was 0-0. We had the best chance. Matty got through and couldn't quite convert. I think early in the second half, and it was a very even Steve. And I'm still there thinking this has got 0-0 written all over it, or there's going to be a bit of luck and one team's going to get it.
I watched that. It was a 50-50 ball, and the bounce favoured the Dartford sub.
Totally, and he struck it really well. It was a great goal, great strike for him. So you've got to take your hats off to him. When he got his chance, he took it. We had a better chance than that, which we couldn't take, and ultimately we trailed and ran out in 1-0 to a defeat 1-0. So really disappointing 2 results, but not through lack of effort and performance. It's those moments. It's that young teams and individual errors, and just as a team having the quality and the control they need at times. They're just a little bit rushed at times, and it's part and parcel of our development.
I thought the referees have been quite good the last couple of matches, and that hasn't always been the case. But it was good to see Jesse back, and having an impact when he came on. The ref considered there was cover, but perhaps he was the only one that didn't know that cover was never going to catch Jesse.
No, I mean Jesse was gone. I mean the lad rugby tackled him and took him at chest height as well. I think in a rugby pitch it would have been a red card for a high tackle, let alone on a football pitch. But yeah, Jesse had done the last man. I mean he pushed it in his own half past the lad, was running past him when he rugby tackled him. There was 2 defenders 2 yards ahead of Jesse, but they weren't. No one's catching Jesse. He's gone, and. People say, the referee said to me, he said, it was a good yellow card for them. Well, yeah, it is a good yellow card for them, but, it's not even, he didn't even make an attempt to play the ball, he didn't body check him, he full-on rugby tackled him. So, it was disappointing.
It was with intent.
It was within, and it's, if that had been one of my players and he got a red card, I wouldn't have really argued. I'd have sort of gone, okay, so we'll see that really. I know probably by the letter of the law, it may not be, but it was just the fact it was so high. I did comment to the referee after. I said, what if he'd have hurt his neck?
Yeah.
What if it had been hurt? Does that change it? And it is. Look, That didn't cost us the game. You know, he no guarantee he would have scored had he got through, but it was just disappointing that a great bit of individual play by him, pushed the ball around one side of the man, ran the other, and was gone. And the lads just absolutely clat him on a rugby tackle. So, two disappointing results, but not overly disappointed with the performance. Just at times, we're just going to calm ourselves down. We get a little bit excited or nervous or whatever you want to call it, and just rush things that we should be doing better with.
Chance to put it right on Saturday with another home match. Carshalton, the visitors. I understand you know their new manager quite well, but the flip side of that is he knows you as well.
Yes, Steve was my assistant manager at Hampton, and he was there when I went in, and he was instrumental in, we kept them up, didn't go into the end of January, and between us we kept them up. And he was instrumental in helping me that with all the players, understanding what the players' strengths and weaknesses were. And then he stayed on second season, which we set club record 17 unbeaten. We missed the playoffs by a point, and we got to the quarterfinals of the FA Trophy. Beat two conference sides on the way to that, or National League sides they are on the way to that, both away from home. So we had a really good season. A little bit disappointed to miss out on the playoffs, but a really good season, far more than was expected from us. And he's a top bloke, and his enthusiasm and love of the game is infectious, and those players will love him, and he'll be very infectious in the way he approaches things, very positive. You know, when I was watching the set pieces for Rams, because I watched Ramsgate play, and of course I watched them against his team, so I knew that predominantly the way he sets up is very similar to the way I set up. So whatever Ramsgate did against them, I thought they'd do against us. And yeah, it'll be, you know, it is what it is. Managers know each other, and they'll come up with ideas to try and beat each other.
Is it going to be down who executes the better?
I think, like all these games, you need that little bit of luck. You need, he'll know my philosophies and everything, and those don't change. I don't change my philosophies and how I work. I know what he's about. He was at Wealdstone when we played Wealdstone in the Cup. He was one of the first team coaches there when we played Wealdstone in the Cup recently. I heard someone in that dugout shout "run to goal," and I looked across and smiled, and one of my phrases he'd nicked. But it'll be a tough game for both teams. You know, we've had two really good games against Carshalton this year. We narrowly beat them in the trophy. That could have gone either way. We got a 3-3 draw, and that could have gone either way. And so I'm expecting very similar, a game that really you couldn't call. It could go either way. It'll be a tough game for us and a tough game for them, and we will wait and see. We'll
let you go and settle down with the squad and show them the slides and the video on how it's all going to be done.
Absolutely. Thanks very much indeed.
Cheers, Mel.